Mhm. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Kristen Binford coming to you with my friend Justin Sutton on several different channels here. I am just going to pop in and make sure we are actually live. All right, it looks like we are good to go. So this morning, our streaming platform is having a little bit of a headache this morning. So we're going to do our best to get through this whole video live. If for any reason we can't, we will record it and we will share it on all of the platforms that we have promised. So good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Kristen Binford. I am a wedding venue owner myself and a venue coach to hundreds of wedding venue owners all over the country. Today, I have my friend Justin Sutton with me. Now, for years coaching venue owners, I have had venue owners asking me questions about risk management for wedding venues, insurance for wedding venues. And years ago, I thought, I wish there was someone who had this expertise. I wish there was someone who I thought was just an amazing human that I could introduce to other venue owners on these topics that are not my zone of genius. And a few years ago, enter into my life, my friend Justin Sutton. He has worked with almost 200 wedding venue owners across the country. And y'all, this is his specialty. So Justin, welcome to the front of the room. Thank you for being with us today.
Well, thank you. Were you talking about me, or is there's somebody?
Justin just did a live event that I was a guest speaker at, and he made me just as embarrassed when he said all sorts of kind things. So, Justin, you're welcome.
The kind things are warranted. I appreciate you bringing me on this morning to kind of share some knowledge that is roaming around in my head, and hopefully will help somebody. So that's the main thing here.
I love it. All right, my friends, make sure you watch this entire video. There's going to be some good nuggets in here for you. If you are here with us watching live right now, go ahead and comment #live in the comments. If you are catching this later, go ahead and comment #replay. Now, today we're going to talk about some of the little known things about event insurance. If you're a venue owner now, it's very likely that you require event insurance purchased by your couples for their wedding day. But I have to tell you, as I've gotten to know Justin over the last few years, there's a number of things that I had these like light bulb aha moments on, oh, I thought this covered that, or I thought this worked this way. And just getting to know Justin, I've learned so many things, and I'm excited for him to share those with you today because truthfully, y'all, they're potentially important and big gaps in your business. So stay tuned. There's going to be all sorts of good stuff. So before we dive in here, though, I do just want to mention we are not attorneys. This is not legal advice. This is not advice specific to your business. At the end of this session, we're going to welcome you to book a free call with Justin to dive into the specifics of your business. So just take it with a grain of salt that we're giving you some good generic perspectives here. And Justin's going to drop all sorts of good nuggets today. Sound fair, my friend?
That's awesome. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. All right. So, event insurance. Why do venue owners require it? Let's start there. Or why should they require it?
So I think what I hear every day, if I ask, and I ask everybody this question, why do you need to ask your couples to have event insurance? Injuries, alcohol, damage to your property, something to hit before they hit your commercial insurance. I do hear vendors, and that's one thing I have to kind of, that's vendors can't be covered with event day insurance. That's some event insurance companies will cover vendors, but on a different product, not specifically event day insurance. So yeah, but the real thing, and what I never hear, is that I've never heard that they've told me, well, I'm really focused on the results of those injuries or damage or that kind of thing. That's the potential of those is why you really care about event insurance and why it can affect you.
Yeah. So we're worried, we as venue owners, right? These are big, expensive properties that we are sharing with the public, with people drinking and lots of people and that kind of thing. And it makes sense that we're worried about what would happen. But your point here and what we're going to start to dive into today is that the actual thing that happens is only the first step in the problem. It's what's the result? What's the ramification of that is what event insurance should really be taking responsibility for. So when we start to talk about being protected by event insurance, talk to me about that just a little bit.
Yeah. What protected means is when your clients sign the contract, they're taking on a massive responsibility. And that responsibility is making you whole in the event that any of those 5 things, injuries, alcohol issues, damage to your property, anything like that happens. So that's the real reason you care about event insurance, is that massive responsibility that could be from for respective members, officers, owners, the laundry list of damage, expenses, claims, costs, all of that stuff can add up in a hurry. And so when they take on that responsibility, they likely don't have pockets deep enough to really make good on that responsibility. So if I had to ask you a question to say, of the people who walk through your door at Hall Valley, if they sign up for that responsibility, how many could legitimately take care of it without somebody else to step in? And that's why you really care about event insurance. That's the why, not because of injuries or alcohol issues, because you want to make sure that responsibility is properly managed.
And when you say take care of it, Justin, just for clarity, you mean if something happened, if there was damage to my building or another venue owner's building at their space, our contract should be specifying that the renter, the client, the couple is responsible for that damage that happened at their event. But truth be told, they don't have, we know how expensive these buildings are. Most of our couples, most of our clients aren't going to be able to write a check for damage. That's what you mean.
Exactly. And that's the gravity of that responsibility is not it. That's one thing you need to do as a venue owner. If you're not sure that your contract is making your clients have that responsibility, you need to go check it now. You need to pull it out and read it and make certain that's one thing that is totally taken care of.
So tell me just a little bit, because I think sometimes we hear people talk about kind of additional insured and making sure we're listed as an additional insured. What does that mean? How should we be thinking about that in terms of event insurance?
Yeah, additional insured on event insurance policy just means that you share coverage with the named insured. So you have all the same policy rights as that named insured. You are technically a covered insured. You can file a claim, those type of things, but it only means you share that coverage. It doesn't mean that coverage is the first to pay. There are a whole list of things that don't really apply that should, because you're just sharing coverage.
So on that, I just want to make sure that I'm clear, because I think this is a misconception for a lot of folks, and we'll get into this a little bit later. But so by requiring our couples to have event day insurance, is that the policy that is the first policy, right? And why is it that, what is the gap there that many venue owners aren't seeing?
Yeah, exactly. So what the gap here is that the event insurance policy that your clients have, which names you as additional insured, will stipulate that this insurance is primary, except in the event that another insurance is not primary. Your commercial insurance as a venue owner will also say this insurance is primary unless in the event another insurance is primary. So basically what you have is 2 companies that are taking the front seat, but not really. So we're leaving that completely open to interpretation, which is the real problem with just that additional insured, is that you have 2 competing interests here who are basically saying, well, we may be responsible, but we're not really going to own up to it if somebody else says they're responsible. You kind of have like these,
like this one, no, it's this one, no, it's this one.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's totally back and forth. And so there needs to be some sort of mechanism to make sure somebody takes that front seat. And you as a venue owner, wouldn't you want their policy to take the front seat? That's my argument.
But to be fair and to be clear, their policy taking the front seat is not normal. That's not the way it just naturally happens, right? And that's part of what you've helped us with. That's part of what you've helped so many other venue owners with. So this kind of, I'm pointing at, this policy is pointing at this policy. This policy is pointing at this policy.
Yeah, it's that Spider-Man.
I
that
know, right?
Spider-Man meme that they're all pointing at each other.
Right.
That's what your event insurance is now. Everybody's pointing at everybody else.
And why do I care about that? Right? Because as a venue owner, I could just hear that as, okay, great, we have lots of coverage. Why do I care that if that is not clearly specified? And there's two places for that, right? I've learned this from you. It's your contract, and it's also the particular policy that you require couples to buy. Why do I care as long as they have it?
Well, that's the thing. If you're actively managing risk in your business, you want to divert that as much as you can before you're going to be impacted. The other reason here is a lot of times what we see, your business is not the only thing at the property. So you might own it personally. You may have an LLC that owns it personally. I can't tell you how many times I see a contract and there is no responsibility given to the event holder to take care of the owner of the property. And that's a really big issue too. So what we have to do is make sure that, number one, there's a policy that takes a front seat to yours. And then number two, that once that happens, their insurance company, which is within their right to ask you or any other involved entity or business to contribute to that claim. So that.
One thing you've talked to me about before, Justin, I would love if you would just share here today, is this kind of concept of if something happened at an event and maybe it's a guest that has an issue, gets injured, etc., right? And it's not specified which policy goes first, then what happens? What does that look like? Why do I care? What's the ramifications of that?
Yeah, there's in that event, there's no structure to the risk management mechanism. So basically what happens here is somebody gets hurt, their attorney decides, hey, we don't want to sue our friend. We're not really suing our friend. We're suing their insurance company. We don't really want to do that. We want to sue the person with the deepest pockets here. So we're going to ask that their insurance, if it's your business insurance or the property insurance for the owner of the property, we're going to ask that they pay first. So that they at that point can dictate what happens. And that's the way that a very, very alarmingly high percentage, in my opinion, there's no structure to this claim. It's just like, we need an additional insured. It needs to be in favor of the venue. And that's pretty much the end of it.
So leaving a lot of open doors, right? And the whole reason, I mean, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, and I really am saying this, correct me if I'm wrong. If we're not going to specify in our contract and with the specific policy we require couples to purchase that policy goes first, why even have it? It's not really covering us the way that we think it is. Yeah.
100% correct. That is a truer statement has never been made with regard to event insurance. Like, basically what you're doing is, hey, we're sharing this blanket, but what happens if that person just decides to pull it off of all of, that's basically what can happen with just that additional insured status. It's not enough.
So thank you. You're on the analogies today. Speaking of analogies, tell everyone about your sports analogy for this, or your game analogy.
Yeah. So you as a venue owner are basically everyone who comes to your space. You are playing a game. So when you play that game, you're telling everyone who comes to the space, you need to bring a ball. The ball represents your insurance requirement. Vendors need a ball. Clients need a ball. Everyone needs that. The problem with this is you're going to have people who show up with a football and a soccer ball and a volleyball and a wiffle ball, and some just show up with no ball at all. And that's the problem. Is you're playing a baseball game at Wrigley Field and you need a Major League Baseball that is covered in leather with seams 2 millimeters high, that has an MLB stamp on it, that is made of American cork. Like, these things are very, very important minutia, but most of the time I see when even with the correct things in the contract, 70% of the people who show up don't have what you ask for. And so that's the other part about this is you can ask for this stuff all day long, but unless you have a way of when that person gets to the field, they can pick a ready-made ball out of the basket and go onto the field, you're still going to have to interpret all of it. You're going to have to make sure they have what you need. And that's the other problem about this is, yes, you can write it into your contract, but unless you have that ball ready to go to play with when they get there, you still may not get what you need. Does that
Well,
make
and
sense?
I know it does make sense. And I know for myself, just speaking as a venue owner, one of the reasons why I was so grateful to meet you and for you to help us with this is simply because I don't know all of these things, right? Years ago, we used to allow people to use their homeowners, or we used to allow people to go find, there's various different kind of policies in the industry. And I just thought, okay, well, we required it. We're covered. They did A, B, and C, kind of the basics.
Yep.
Talk a little bit more about that and just kind of what the expectations should be, both in the contract and in the policy.
Yeah. So the first thing, right off the bat, like we spoke about earlier, you want to make sure their policy takes the front seat. That's the biggest thing. The second
Can
thing.
I interrupt for just a second on that? Will every policy be willing to take the front seat? We've said that a lot. Go ahead.
No, that's the other part about this, that those requirements are very specific. And if you're going to, any old store, you're probably not going to get the ball you need. So that's the other part about this is it's a very specific ask. Only certain places that you get that will actually do it for you. So it's very important to pick the right place.
Well, and from what I've understood from you in the past too, even the places, and when we say places, y'all, what we mean by that is different types of policies that you could get from different providers.
Correct.
A lot of them make it like if they're willing to take the front seat, they make it hard because they don't really want to take the front seat, because now we're asking them to take responsibility that they would love to not ultimately take, correct?
Well, and that's the thing about this is the really important part is that they're going to take the front seat. They're also going to agree that they can't ask you to contribute to the payment of anything. That's another part within their rights as a carrier. They can say, hey, well, you're 30 or 40% at fault. We need you to take on the brunt of that. We're going to ask you to contribute that to the claim. And then furthermore, once the claim is paid, they can come back and say, hey, we paid that $1 million claim. We want the money back from you. And so that's the other part about this is it drastically increases the likelihood that they'll pay. It also, because of that, they charge a higher premium for it, and they don't want to make those balls just for people to pick out. Like, it's not something that and that's why you never hear about it from any of those providers is it is truly helping to manage your risk better, but it's more, I guess, for lack of a better term, dangerous for them because there's a higher likelihood that they can't recover from you or anybody else.
Which makes me feel better as a venue owner, right? Yeah, it literally gives me some stress, like even just talking about this, because I think back to, we didn't have all of this ironed out in our business when we started 10 years ago because we just didn't know. It's one of the reasons I'm grateful to know you. So so one thing that you said is, there's a little bit more cost involved. And I just want to make sure I'm clear so we're clear with everybody listening in. There's a little bit more cost for couples to purchase a policy like this. And that's because, go ahead.
Yeah, that's because that carrier is retaining more risk. There's less likelihood that they can recoup their losses from you. So necessarily they have to charge a higher premium for it. So that's, and generally speaking, the cost for a policy like this, and this is not across the industry. There are certain providers who do this very well. you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $250. So that's kind of base level, and it can vary a little bit with guest count up or down.
So I just want to speak from my point of view as a venue owner. When we went to requiring a policy that would take the front seat, I think the policy that we recommended before was about $180. So now we're talking about 250 kind of numbers here. I have to tell you, we have gotten zero pushback from that. It's just the way that I frame that to our couples is, this provides additional protection for you and for us, and it's industry standard. And I just want to know for venue owners listening in, that was a little bit of like I'm asking them to purchase a slightly more expensive policy, but I've gotten zero pushback, number one. And number two, to go back to what we said before, like, if I'm requiring them to purchase something, like, let's make sure it's something that we are actually going to get some good out of, not just sleep better at night, hoping and thinking that it covers us.
Yeah, no, the hoping part of that is you need some certainty in your business. And this is the type of frame that you can put things in to give you more certainty, because with just that additional insured, there's really no certainty in that. It could be their policy that pays. It could be your commercial policy that pays. It could be you personally that pay, or your holding company for the property. Like, it's really anybody's guess, because of the way things are structured with the, pointing with Spider-Man. So,
well, and we would be remiss to say none covers everything, right? No. So there's not a perfect here, but it is about making the most informed choices that we can make to be as covered as we can be from what I've learned from you. Fair? Yeah. Okay. So here's the other thing. This is kind of a pain for many venue owners, right? Because you require couples to get it, but there's chasing involved. When do you require it? How far in advance? If it's something that you require at the last minute, it can feel like, oh, here's an extra expense that I forgot that I have. You might be getting more pushback from couples at that point. Tell me just a little bit. You've been so kind to share your time with us today. So thank you. For everybody who's here with us live, comment #live. If you're watching this later, comment #replay. But you've been so kind to share your time with us today, Justin. Tell us a little bit about Nuptial and how you all help solve for these challenges for venue owners so we don't have to think about it.
Exactly. So first of all, you have to get the right structural requirements in your contract. That's number one. So helping build in that certainty in writing is very important. That's the way we started this 6 or 7 years ago. Is we just help people build in the right requirement in their contract and just kind of let them go wherever they needed to go to get what they needed. That was a miserable failure. And in about 6 months, I had to, we had to go back to the ball analogy later, from earlier, excuse me. We had to basically make a shelf that clients could just pick up what they needed. That minutia is just something that your clients do not understand. You from looking at, there's so many providers. You looking at 53 different certificates, you can't tell if they're meeting your requirement. That was kind of our experience, is so much feedback. Is this what I need? Is this what I need? Is this what I need? And then the constant back and forth. And so that's one thing we also eliminate. So we're able to automate this whole workflow. You can offload all that to our team. That's one thing, that just making that whole process very easy, automated with, if you use a CRM, there's no thinking involved, and you can be certain that's the part about this that is key, is 100% of weddings have 100% of what you need 100% of the time. Like, that's the certainty you can count on. And so that's where we come in, and why, if I had to say we're a little different from other folks, is, our focus is making sure you can have the next wedding and the next wedding and the next wedding. And so in order to do that, we just have to, again, build in the right structure, make sure the automation and compliance is there all the time. And then that first line of defense for you, which is the event insurance, is really your best line of defense.
So For everybody listening, I'm a venue owner, you're a venue owner. You know, there's lots of people who are selling things to venue owners, and it all adds up, right? We all have to be mindful of kind of the expenses in our business and the decisions that we're making. Justin, talk about kind of the investment for.
Well, it's a super high investment for venue owners to work with us. It's $0. So basically,
Bad dad jokes here.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, so my thinking here is, you know, this is something that, again, we can help you automate and make really, really easy for your team and your staff, whomever. Like, it's just something that is peace of mind, and it gives you back time. That's the other thing. You only have so much of it. We have a whole workflow around this that is, the human error, the human margin for error has been removed a little bit as well, but we also have that kind of personal touch as well. So I think that's the different experience here is we're helping you to get your contract the way it should be, the event insurance the way it should be, and we manage that whole compliance piece for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So, it's just, I kind of think it's the way it should be.
Yeah, no brainer. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but just Justin has become a dear friend. And what I want you to hear is that he really cares, y'all. He started off just saying, here's what you need. Go find this policy 6 or 7 years ago. And what he saw was all the problems that we probably see still as venue owners, for those of you who aren't working with Justin, and what we saw before we were working with Justin. And you just said, there's a better way. And how can I do this in a way that serves venue owners, that serves couples, that makes it really easy? And I just think it's a no-brainer for someone to book a call with you.
Yeah,
There's
and
no additional cost.
that's the thing. I mean, we're giving you back time. We're giving back you're getting that peace of mind that you can't get anywhere else. And I'll tell you a really, really quick story. So last week, we took a look at an owner's contract. It was this long with the requirements. She sent us about a half a dozen certificates to look at. None of those certificates, absolutely zero, met the requirements that she stipulated in her contract. And she thought she was okay. And that's what we can give you back is, again, that certainty. And that's kind of why we're here doing what we do is that's about the first layer. And then the second, third, and fourth layers are, other things that we do to help that. So,
yeah. So good deal, my friend. Anything else you feel like I haven't asked you about today that you want to share while you've got the audience?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay. So for everybody listening in, I want to tell you, Justin's a great guy. He's also super busy. Like every time I've talked to him this week, he's like, so much is going on. So we do want to welcome you if you are open and operational or building now, and you would like to work with Justin on event insurance, and he just takes care of all of this for you. Again, there's no fee to you. It's just your couples are buying the policy, and he gets you set up on the things that we've talked about today. We invite you to book a call with him. I'm going to say this because Justin's not going to say it for himself. Guys, if you book a call, show up, right? He respects your time, just like with our team. We respect your time, and we want to make sure that you're able to make the most of that conversation. So if you book a call, please make sure that you show up. So to do that, Justin, there's a couple different ways that somebody can book. How long are these calls, by the way? 15, 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's really short. I mean, I think we have 28 minutes booked on the calendar for some strength. I mean, it's usually less than 30 minutes. What you get is clarity on your contract immediately. That's one thing that we talk about. The other thing is an automation side of this that is, we'll take care of any sort of follow-ups. Like that's another part about this. And then the other thing is to make sure you're aware and informed of everything. There's a dashboard that you would log into, and you can see everything, and it's all kind of right there at hand. So yeah, it's a super quick process. It's not it's generally not super like rocket science.
Painful. Painful. Yeah.
It's easy. It doesn't cost you anything, And in 30 minutes, you can have that certainty, and you can have, in general, I mean, we're seeing, 30, 40 hours back a year, because you have to spend 30 minutes to an hour going back and forth with clients about certificates and did you get this? Do you have this? That's all gone, falls away. So
love it, my friend. I love more time back in my day. I think everybody would. So to book a call on Justin's calendar for 28 minutes or less. How about that?
Exactly.
He has a QR code on the screen. I tell you what, you and Janie on my team both love QR codes. So you might be able to scan that right there on your screen. If for any reason you can't, there's a secret link set up on Justin's calendar just for folks listening in today. It's nuptialrisk.com/Kristen Binford. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. NUPTIAL risk.com/Kristen Binford.
All one word, my friends. We'll make sure to get that in the comments here too, so that it's easy for you to just click on. Last time, I'm going to tell you, last time we did a session like this with Justin, I don't know, I think you booked 30 or 40 sessions and we're busy for weeks. So
yeah, it was last July, August was, it was busy.
Banana towns. So I'm just saying this is not a false sense of urgency. I'm being honest. Get a call booked if you want to talk with Justin. Otherwise, you might have to wait for a minute. So cool.
Kristen, thank you for today.
Today was fun. It's always fun hanging out with you. Thank you to everybody who tuned in with us live. Thank you for everybody for your patience, because the tech on this session just didn't go quite like we thought it would to get started. So thank you for that. And hashtag live if you're here now, hashtag replay if you catch it later. And then to book a call with Justin, it's nuptialrisk.com/Kristen Binford. All right, my friend, we'll see you in another video.
See you, Kristen.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.